A side-scrolling webcomic. Are people even going to notice that they have to slide sideways instead of downwards? I've been working on the comic for April, which has been delayed as usual. I mean, it's the 4th of May already, so yeah, may you live long and prosper. For this version, I wanted to try something new again and decided on a side-scrolling comic. Now imagine this. You open the webtoon page and instead of seeing the regular comic format, you see an image that is turned 90 degrees. At first you're confused and then you turn it sideways and then it hits you. Although on a technical level you're scrolling down on the website, comic page wise you're scrolling sideways. Now, I wonder if it will spark joy if people see this, or maybe confusion, or maybe they'll even get angry at the weird format because they are reading the page on their desktop instead of on their smartphone. I sure hope it'll spark some emotions at least, but not just because of the format, but also a little bit about the story as well. Though, once again, I have to admit that I had no idea what the story was going to be when I started the comic page. The only thing I knew was that it was going to be a sideways scroller and that it would involve a spaceship landing on a planet. But whatever was going to happen on the surface, that was still a big open question. Luckily, Artemis 2 was there to give me some inspiration for the ending, and I think it turned out okay. Now, to draw out the idea, I worked in my sketchbook while I was still on the train. I got most of it done on paper, but alas, there was no easy way to scan it for digital use. So, when I was going to make the finished product, I figured I'd just jump into Photoshop and start from scratch over there. The format for Webtoon on the webpage is about 800 pixels wide. So this comic, as it is turned 90 degrees, those 800 pixels become the height of the comic. And the width of the comic turned out to be 66,020 pixels. That is a lot. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work on DeviantArt. Maybe I'll have to make two versions for that platform. I am not sure which is going to be more confusing. Then again, maybe I can ask you peeps, what would you prefer? Have the image turned 90 degrees and assume people will read it on their smartphone, or have it like regular, but you have to zoom in and then scroll sideways? The comic hasn't been posted yet, so all the options are still on the table. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, in other news, I worked on Planet Zom as usual, and last week I had a really hard time making the backgrounds. They were quite something, but luckily all that hard work paid off for the comic this week, because this time I was able to use the backgrounds from last week and just copy paste them, which saved me a lot of work this week. I also upgraded my art style a tiny little bit. Most of you will probably not even notice it if I don't mention it, but if you look closely, you'll see that inside the shadow area of the characters, there's a little line of light. It gives that extra oomph that doesn't require a lot of extra work, but gives you a great payoff in the finished result. Of course, having upgraded my rendering is nice and all, but that doesn't mean shit if my line art doesn't upgrade too. So that is something I'll have to work on in the future as well. I'm quite lazy, so don't hold back to remind me in the comments that I should practice my line art. Maybe some peer pressure from you guys will help me practice some more. So yeah, post your comments, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.